What is a good
By the way,
question?
you guys, I have contingency now.
You have what?
Contingency?
Oh, the spell that, like, if something happens, it goes off?
Yep.
I can spend 2 key points to teleport 800 feet as a move action.
Nice.
Because I have abundant stuff now.
I finally understand how the puzzle works.
I don't need to breathe either.
I have a nagging feeling there's going to be a bit of fuck you Kit at this puzzle.
Oh dear. Well, looks like I gotta prep the spells anyway, so let's see.
Nobody can choke my character out anymore.
Gosh.
Yeah, I'm just gonna punch the lash.
I'm gonna walk backwards.
You say limp lash. I have 70-foot movement speed, Antonio. You cannot keep up with me, even if you run.
For the purpose of this stream,
Take one hit.
the people on the stream have been seeing this room for weeks because I keep looking at it. But I'm gonna just look at it again
You were forgetting.
to demonstrate limp lash.
You're forgetting. You've been using limp lash on the not so smart monsters.
And the monsters in really, really tight confined spaces.
Who don't attempt to splash at the limp lash.
I'm trying to look at peace and bond, effects, natural weapons.
You can't make me drop my fists.
I'm not talking about your fist.
I don't think you can make someone drop their natural weapons.
One of the spells I was thinking of getting, but I wasn't sure. I was trying to decide. I wanted to ask you guys. I was thinking of taking Banishment as one of my spells.
What does banishment do?
It's the more powerful version of Dismissal. It lets me force extraplanar creatures out of your home plane, as many as 2 hit die of creatures per caster level.
Where
So 24 HP of creatures.
I have a lot of HD of creatures.
How much HD?
24.
Up to 24 HD of creatures of extraplanar beings.
Cool. There's a will save involved, I do believe.
Yep, but if we present something that they hate, like, say if we find the staff, it increases the save by +4 and helps me get through their spell resistance too. That was one of the spells I was thinking of getting.
It should be noted, you guys did find the staff. It's asleep right now.
Oh, we do have it.
Yeah, we spent it last session.
Yep.
After we fought some skeletons of ancient.
Some skeletons that literally couldn't hurt the party even if they crit.
They did 4 damage max. I have DR5. They were literally clawing at me, and my guy was like, "Oh."
Yeah. I'm like, oh, okay, these things don't do very much damage, but you know, they have 6 attacks per round.
And there's 4 of them.
And then I'm hitting the attacks, I'm going, wait, what's your DR? Oh, these things literally can only hurt you on a critical hit. I don't want to sit here and roll these dice forever because I have a bazillion hit points each. And we just kind of were like, yep. Fade in like half an hour of tedious fighting of just standing there getting clawed by these skeletons before you finally manage to punch through their wiry frames. And aren't you glad that you don't have to meet these creatures at the height of their civilization when they're alive and casting magic, when they have that much sinew?
Okay, so that doesn't.
Well, I mean, hey, in 1 level, I'll have magic resistance. Or spell resistance.
Let's see.
So, do you want to do a preview? So, Mal, since you're not doing spell stuff, do you want to do previously on?
Previously, Tony T and Kairos woke up to naked man coming to their place. He gave them information about like the hag and all that snazz. Then he helped the both of them fight the giant and the hags. And then as we were walking towards the room that where the hags were living in, so that we could get closer to the starry mirror, which is where Alec is, we fought some mirror duplicate things that were creepy and turned into us, and we had to punch them. And punching them was a bad thing because they were made of glass.
Are any of you evil by any chance? Just
No, I am lawful good.
okay, because one spell does affect whether you are evil or not.
And then we fought the ancient skeletons of the creatures that were on the tablet. And then we found the staff.
So, I think you guys are gonna like the spell I chose. The spell I picked for my level 6 is. Do this real quick.
Oh wait, this doesn't affect evil creatures. This
Is
affects.
Windwalk.
Oh, I'm thinking of the other one.
Basically, for up to 12 hours per day, we are basically treated as though we are under the gaseous form spell, and we can go between both forms. It just takes 5 rounds.
It takes 5 rounds to go between both of them.
Yeah.
We can move up to 60 miles an hour, 600 feet per round, with poor maneuverability if we want to.
That feeling where I get teleported farther than gaseous form can move.
So I can just cast it at the beginning of the day for us, and for the next 12 hours, all of us can turn into gas, basically, at will. It just takes 5 rounds to go between the forms.
So it's not useful in combat.
No, but it's useful for if we need to move around and such.
Yeah.
I don't think I need this.
I have superior fucking movement when it comes to almost everything.
I don't think I'll need this, but I'm never too sure.
I still can't get over the fact that my character, without like taking a step, can fucking leap horizontally 40 feet like it was nothing.
Let's see.
Some people juggle geese,
Some people juggle geese.
and now I feel old that you don't get the reference.
Oh man.
There's the old old Firefly TV show, and whenever there was something that people didn't understand, Wash would be like, "Oh, some people juggle geese."
I completely understand the fact that my character can jump 40 feet like it was nothing. It just still amazes me.
So, I have finished making my last minute changes, understanding the puzzle, and I'm ready when you're ready.
I'm ready, excuse me.
I am never ready. You know this already.
While you guys were preparing spells, he ran out into the jungle for some reason and then came back. I'm very pleased.
Okay, everybody, I'm gonna BRB.
Catch up
Thanks.
at the end of the hour.
It takes you a little bit longer than an hour because you have to kind of whoop your way back. But you have that whole teleport thing.
They can move a lot faster than us.
You got that whole teleport thing. It's more like an hour and a half.
Oh, that's still like some time for us to.
And yeah, here comes back, reeking of sweat and pine.
And oddly, pine.
I'm not even gonna ask.
Like if a pine tree could sweat, that would be what here smells like.
And if you notice, there's some fat markings on his neck, oddly in the shape of lips.
Yes.
I'm not even gonna ask.
A few scratches. Some leaves in his hair. Walking funny.
Are you okay?
Probably fine.
Positively glowing.
Oh, I don't know if Tom already got if like Kyra's already got those ones of curing from Arias, but
Yes. Okay, you gave me the ring as well.
The ring of protection plus 2.
Yay!
Yay, 2 more AC.
Yay.
Tom, my natural AC is 34.
Your AC is going to be 40 after I cast my spells on you.
yeah, no, I did not check that one ability just to see if it changed.
I'm gonna delete a bunch of these things I don't need anymore.
And
So I
then we
can.
cast haste on you.
So now I can have 6 flurry of blows attacks.
And then let's see, what other spells can I buff you with?
Could theoretically need Dugabrows.
Airwalk, so you can move through the air with no problems.
Don't need you. Don't need you. Might theoretically need you. Don't need you. Or you. Do need theoretically
I
you.
now also have, Tom, every time I crit an evil creature, I have Quell the Profane. It's a DC 16, or they lose 1d4 plus 1 strength.
There we go. I just pruned this NPC document down from 30 pages to 5.
And every time I crit an evil creature.
So this is the part where, if we can get it, I can cast permanency on you, Mal, for Magic Fang Greater to make your 5th hit really, really hard.
Does the magic fangs make them count as magic weapons?
No, Magic Fang Greater lets you add like the +3 magical abilities.
Interesting. Also, my fists, my fists all the time count as if they were magic and good aligned. And as long as I have 1 key point, they also count as cold iron, silver, and lawful.
Yeah, I have a lot of spells I can make permanent, and this is handy.
Permanent haste.
I can't permanent haste.
Yeah. It would be hilarious if you could.
I can basically use haste though at will, up to like 2 or 3 times a day.
I technically have 1 haste ability, and I can spend a key point to have an additional attack with my flurry of blows.
I can permanency haste. You want to know how I permanency haste? I'm a GM, so I give a creature a custom ability that lets them permanency haste, and I permanency haste. Or I just make note, this creature is under a permanent haste effect.
I'm ready.
What are all the effects of haste? +1 AC, +1 reflex, and then additional attack, full attack action.
You get 1 extra action.
I thought it was just, you get 1 more attack whenever you make a full attack action.
When making a full attack action, each creature can make 1 extra attack with 1 natural magic action. This attack is made using the creature's full base attack bonus plus
It basically has attacks that you have
daughter is sending me Gacha Life things, and they're all really mean. She just made a bunch of characters, and then she just put all of them in a corner, and she has her looking at them going, "Hello, do you know you shouldn't exist? Because IDK PLS tell me."
I just realized haste can be used one creature per level, same with slow. I thought it was just one creature. I didn't realize you could target multiple people.
Hey, you can target all three of us right now. What are you talking about?
I can slow up to 12 people.
Also, Tom, with your haste, you bring me up to 100 movement speed.
I'm a buffer, like that's my job.
Yeah. Which if I run, so already my character runs as fast as Usain Bolt. So if you increase that by 30, and then I normally run, so that it goes from like 100 feet to 400 feet in 6 seconds.
This is gonna be fun.
Oh, yeah.
I do kind of want to get the reason time sometimes.
400 feet, 6 seconds. Kairos casts haste on here. Why do I hear boss music?
This is gonna be fun.
Oh.
I always get to basically go first. I get to roll initiative 3 times and take the best one.
Hooray, 3 ones for everyone. This is what you do now. You and me both get the teamwork feat and swap initiative.
You get the initiative. You get the initiative.
You roll 3 times. If I happen to roll lower and you need me to act first, swap initiative.
I have initiative with +10, so I go pretty quick. I see the future. I know what's going to happen.
Yeah, but you're staggered the first round.
Okay, first round. Haste. Let's go, bitches.
First round. Haste on here, me and Donatello. Go!
Haste on all 3 of us, and then we do the thing.
Wait, how does haste affect my spell casting? I did not.
It doesn't.
It
just lets you move faster.
Yeah, it lets you move faster and it makes you harder to hit. And it does give you +1 on spell attacks. You don't get the additional attack per full round action thing. Unless you actually do a 4 round action attack.
So I technically could cast a spell and then attack? No?
It says like, you know how I have flurry of blows and it's a full round attack? If you do that, you get another hit.
Alright. I'm ready when you are.
Yay, finally.
I've been ready. I've just been waiting.
I've been
Same
waiting.
here.
So you mean to tell me that everyone's been waiting for everyone else for like the last half hour, and everyone's been ready?
I've been waiting for all of you for the past hour.
I thought it was for the past 10 minutes.
Let's go.
Okay. So you stand now in the throne room of the hags. Yes, my daughter's eavesdropping. She's going to be making sarcastic snips at us in chat in Discord.
Oh dear, I have people to disappoint now.
Oh, Antonio, I'm always disappointed in you.
Yeah, but that's different.
It's always more crushing when the younger person gets disappointed in you. You're the oldest here. You're allowed to be disappointed and not have us be crushing feet. Having your, like, much younger than all of us daughter disappointed in that's just different.
She takes after me. She's disappointed in everyone. So, you stand now after resting and taking a breath in the throne room of the hags. Alakast has not spoken to you at all in the last evening. After its initial little, oh, hello, oh, I'm sleepy, it's just gone. Quiet.
How am I even supposed to wake him up? I do a spellcraft check and figure it out with the only clue I have.
You may attempt it, it's going to be very difficult.
It's okay, I have good bonus. As I say before I hit run.
You don't know exactly. You suspect that, so you know that some extremely powerful artifacts can enter a dormant state, and you get the sense that Alakast is in such a dormant state, and you'll need to perform some sort of ritual of some type to bring Alakast out of that state. But you're not 100% certain what the ritual involves.
Maybe there's a hint in the old stories. May I roll a knowledge history?
You certainly may. You remember that Alakast was granted to your ancestor Surabar by the Archangel Nadrama, specifically to fight Nabathoron. So
Why did to smack him with the stick?
you aren't certain. The histories you've read don't speak of the artifact being charged up because the artifact was given over at full power. So you suspect that whatever rituals need to be performed were performed all previously in heaven by Nadrama.
Out here is just gonna be mocking you like, I still bet that thing's that legendary staff you're talking about.
No, it's alright. I don't care for your opinion.
Wow, it's so hurt.
We're supposed to be working together, not.
Oh, trust me, I plan to work with you. I just severely doubt that common little stick is some magical relic.
This thing that's going to help us save the world.
Yes, you exist.
Can't really do much if it stays in its dormant state. So I'm not sure how we're supposed to bring it back to full power. All it says that it needs the blood of the wicked.
Achoo.
Shall we get moving?
We shall.
Or shall we?
Look, I'm tongue-tied this morning, okay?
That's not a good thing for our mates to be tongue-tied.
And before we go, I'm going to cast.
Seashells by the sea.
I'm going to cast Windwalk on all of us.
What did you cast?
Windwalk.
Ooh.
What's the gaseous form thing?
Yes.
Cool.
Very nice.
So in case we need it, we can use it.
Beyond this door is a
I'm going
long
to cast
hall.
Prestidigitation to turn all of our clothes completely white.
Why?
Actually, wait, no, never mind. Wrong thing. Never mind.
Okay. So you can see this long hallway. At the end is a statue of a creature, much like those 6-armed zombies you fought earlier, but wearing flowing robes with some sort of jeweled crown, holding its hands up in triumph. There's a door off to the side.
Shall we look over there first? I'll take your proactivity as yes.
And this is the way. This is the other way.
I'm sorry?
Well, let's see.
So this is the path to the mirror, isn't it?
I don't know.
It was past the hags.
Door is open. Would you guys like me to use a divination style?
Okay, for now.
There's a short stone hallway and another door.
He will open this door as well. He can.
So the ceiling of this room forms a four-sided dome. The apex of that dome is 30 feet off the ground. An odd 10-foot wide pentagonal mirror hangs on the west wall, from where it casts a dark reflection of the room. This reflection is distorted in an unsettling way and dotted with shimmering, star-like pinpoints of white light. A single chair of white stone with 3 armrests sits in the middle of the room, facing the mirror. A colorful hexagonal diagram is engraved on the floor surrounding the mirror.
Detect magic.
Please make a will save.
Oh, it's one of those. Oh my, yeah, I'm about to go down for like a minute.
Kairos dies. No, Kairos just casts detect magic and shudders and falls to the ground unconscious. The magic of the mirror overwhelming him in its intensity.
Whoa.
You'll wake up in a couple minutes.
Had a nice nap.
Well, this isn't that mirror thing you guys were looking for. Get to it, chop chop. Make it work.
Look into the mirror.
So as you look into the mirror, you can see that on the other side, that the distortions on the other side show that the room across from it is a... Whoa, come on, stop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is a pentagram in shape. And you can see that pentagram slightly rotating, and there's 5 mirrors on the walls of the pentagram in the chamber beyond. 4 of those are just a solid white light that you can't see beyond, but in the last mirror there, you see Alec Tercival in a small room up against a massive stone door, grasping his head and twitching and swearing.
That doesn't look good. Is there a way to adjust the runes on the floor?
No. The pattern on the floor is exactly as you see in this diagram, and it's just carved into the floor. Those circles are massive gemstones of that color, and in between them are engravings lined with magically polished gold. In exactly that pattern.
Which corner is Alec in?
You can't really tell. The room that you see in the mirror seems to be spinning very slowly. And what is on the other side is sort of distorted black and white with flickering stars above it.
I feel like I'm playing Magical Diary again.
Tonatium doesn't have to be the only one that looks at the mirror.
Step up to look at the mirror.
You see again that same thing. The room on the other side is like this one, twisted and distorted into a pentagram, slowly rotating, with 4 white mirrors and 1 mirror that shows a sort of grayed out black and white Alec Tercival, stumbling back and forth, now screaming at the wall.
Can I reach out and touch the mirror?
Would you please roll a d6? Kairos, you find yourself standing in the middle of a blue pentagram shaped chamber with 5 mirrors, each showing an identical version of this pentagram room, tinted in 5 different colors: orange, yellow, green, violet, red.
Well then, we lost Kairos.
That's a shame. His piercings were rather attractive.
Kairos, you can hear both of them speaking.
Can you hear me?
The 2 of you hear Kairos, his voice kind of coming from the space around you.
Huh, you still alive?
Yeah, I'm still alive. I'm in a chamber. There are 5 mirrors around me, each a different color.
You can see now, Tonatium, in one of those white mirrors is Kairos.
Oh, there he goes.
What color was the floor? The symbols that were on the floor.
Oh, we have
The
red.
symbol, the room that you guys are in.
We have red, orange, yellow, green, indigo, and pink or violet. I don't know.
There's no indigo in this room that I'm in.
If you look down, the floor kind of is an indigo.
So this is the indigo color, possibly. So each of those is... There were arrows pointing to it, aren't there?
All right. Let's see. It seems you can go to either the green or
You find yourself standing in the middle of a violet room.
Then red.
You find yourself standing in the middle of a red room.
Orange.
You find yourself standing in the middle of an orange room.
Yellow.
Yellow.
And green.
And green.
And then back to purple. It says this one more time.
Purple or indigo.
Indigo. Sorry, indigo.
You find yourself back in the indigo room.
Well, at least we know the colors go to each other.
I'm going to cast Augury, and I'm going to ask, is it a good idea to step through the green mirror? That's the yes or no.
Neither weal nor woe.
I'll try to step through the green one.
You end up in the green room.
Alright, and then try the indigo, just to see if it just takes me back.
You are in an indigo room. You're not certain if it's the same indigo room.
Can you guys still see me?
Can we?
Essentially, he seems to just flicker back and forth between those different mirrors.
Yes, we can still see you.
Between
There has
those.
to be more than this.
Tonatium can make an intelligence check. I say as I double check to see if this is actually on the physical handout. So you remember that there were some kind of numeric symbols that were placed on the image of the starry mirror. I'm going to need to make a new handout because this is not actually in the handout that you had before, and I thought it was. I'll just put this into your handouts page so you can see it.
Alright, I'll take a look.
Let me get it there. Where are you? There you are. So these symbols are kind of engraved on the bottom of the symbol of the starry mirror. Oh, I never showed you the zoomed in version. I'm sorry. There's the zoomed in version. And you can actually see the symbols on the zoomed in version.
Okay, let's see.
That is the same as this one over here. I just made it bigger, so you can see those symbols.
Alright. 3 dots, 4 dots, a line, 1 dot, 2 dot, 3 dot.
Can I see any dots over on my side?
You do not.
There's nothing over here.
Are there any dots around the, like the color gems?
There are not.
I'm going to sit in the chair.
Would you kindly roll 1d6? You find yourself inside a green room.
So with the chair in the mirror, just we're going to still
You do not.
Does Kairos hear?
You can hear Kairos. Kairos can hear you.
Is there anything above me?
The four-sided globe that comes together at an apex. At the apex is... It's 30 feet off the ground.
We will attempt to step through the indigo mirror.
Here finds himself in an indigo chamber. There is no sight of Kairos. So even though I've put both of you in the same color room for, convenience sake, you don't see each other.
We don't see it despite being the exact same color.
Yes.
How does one get out then?
What happens if I attempt to touch true mirrors?
Roll 1d6. Tell me which two mirrors you want to touch and roll 1d6. Well, first tell me the two mirrors you're going to touch. Which one's your left hand? Which one's your right hand?
Might it be split in half or something?
Tell me which two you want to touch and which hand's for which, if that's what you want to try.
Left hand purple, right hand green.
Okay. Roll 1d6.
Maybe it would help if I wrote down the notes.
You end up in a green mirror.
Oh god, not split in half.
You feel that you, despite your attempts to touch them at exactly the same time, you touched your green mirror just fractions of a millisecond before you touched the purple one.
Wait, I'm going to try and detect magic no, probably not smart. Alright, screw it. I am going to cast divination.
Alright. Make that percentile check. So you see an image of that circle that's in this outer room cross your mind, and you see 3, and there's a flash as it hops 3 spaces. You see 5, and then it hops 5 more spaces. You see 7, it hops 7 more spaces around the circle. It's like you see a little shining light on the red one, and you hear a voice whisper 3, and that shining white light hops to the green, and you hear it say 5, and it hops to the yellow.
I'm sorry, I was writing down notes. What happened?
Okay.
And then you hear it say,
the red one.
you go to the red one. You end up in the red.
Then green.
You end up in green. You do not see here.
Then yellow.
You end up in the yellow.
And then back to green.
You end up back in the green.
It was 3, 5, 7.
That's what your vision said.
Wait, hang on.
the sounds of problem solving.
Hang on. I think I got it. Okay. Shoot. 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. And red is number 1.
Red is number 1.
So red, 3 to green,
Okay, hang on.
4 to orange.
Alright, I'm gonna go back to red and starting. Or do we start at 3? We start at 3. So. Don't we? Yeah. So we're gonna go to. Green.
You
You are in green.
We're in green. At the beginning. So 4 is going.
Hold on. Red was 1, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So 3 would be yellow.
Wait, did my vision say green was 3?
Your vision, when it said 3, showed it jump 3 forward, as if 3 were 3 further along the way.
If we're numbering them, 1 is red, 2 is orange, 3 is yellow.
I'm gonna go with the vision. So 3 would be green from the vision.
No, I think you have to move 3 to reach green.
I'm going to.
That's fine.
I'm gonna try my thing.
Okay.
So 3 is yellow from my thing. So I'm gonna go to the yellow room. And then I'm gonna go to the next one. What was that one? Green. So 4 will be green. And then next one's 5, which is blue.
Yeah, indigo.
And then the next one is 1, which is red. And then 2, which is orange. And then 3, which is yellow.
You find yourself standing in a yellow room.
I'm gonna head back to red and start there.
Okay.
That's where my vision said. I'm gonna go to green. Then to indigo. Then to purple. Then back to red. Then to orange. I think I got my order mixed up. Yeah, I got my order mixed up. Crap.
They started doing Mal's thing.
Yeah, crap. Okay. Restart. Restart at red.
Okay.
So
Here, let me put you in this
this is
view.
hard because I have to keep jumping back and forth.
Here, if I give you this view, you should be able to see those. Maybe Tonatium can tell you the symbols because Tonatium's holding the plate.
So when it moved the dots, did it go from the spot you were at forward again, or is it just?
It did. It went from the spot forward.
Okay, got it. Okay, I know how to do the puzzle now, you guys. I just need the dot in order.
I think I missed the whole thing with the dots, to be honest.
The bottom is 3, 5. It's 3, 4, 5, and 1.
You get to me a little bit slower.
I'll just write it down.
Okay. I think I got the puzzle now.
3, 4, 5, 1, 2.
Okay, 3, 4, 5. So green, orange, red, orange, green, red.
Now I have to make a decision because there's a vagary in the description of this. And I think I'm going to interpret it literally, in which case you end up in the red room.
Is there anything different about this one?
There is nothing that you can notice that's different. feel that your vision may have told you how to interpret the symbols, but not necessarily where to begin.
Fudge.
What you did at start yellow?
I started in blue, so I'm gonna head back to blue.
Okay.
I'm gonna start from there. So orange,
Okay.
violet, blue, purple, orange, and blue. Alright. Once I'm here, I'm going to call up the order back to them and what they need to do.
No, the thing is it your order or do I have to
You do not hear Tonatium. You stop hearing Kairos.
We don't hear Kairos.
Kairos, you've stepped out into a small square room. 12 7-foot tall urns line the walls on either side. There's a 5-foot wide mirror behind you and an iron door, its face covered with scratches and chips, blocking an 8-foot tall archway opposite the mirror. You can see a blonde-haired man in golden armor, crutching his head, curled up in the fetal position, sobbing over and over again. Beware the unseen mark, beware the eyes that kill. By treachery and deceit shall the true Lord fall and the false Lord rule.
Are you okay?
At your voice, he lifts his head up, and his eyes have small red circles surrounding the iris. And he twitches and stands up and draws his sword.
Oh god. The first person to hit was not the one that did not the count, I guess.
This is bad.
No longer hear Kairos.
Yeah, we're going to go back to here and Tonatium for a bit.
Did Kairos say anything about the dot to me?
You know,
I would have been walking you guys through everything I was doing to explain it.
Yeah.
I want to first try it from my one. So I started in green.
Correct.
I'm going to start in green. Three would be red. Four would be back green. Oh, no, be four. Five would be red back green. Then one is back to blue. Two would be red. And three would be green.
So, before here does that, Kairos, I'd like you to make initiative.
Son of a bitch!
Crap, what was his name again?
Alec.
Alec. Hey Alec, can you hear me?
So, Kairos, what do you do?
Okay, so I am staggered for a round.
Oh dear, alright. I think I figured it out.
I'm going to cast Wall of Stone.
Okay, where are you casting Wall of Stone?
Actually, no, not Wall of Stone. We're going to save that for a little bit later. Wait. That takes 5 rounds. Crap. Shit. Are we in, fuck, I would know this. I don't know if we're in a
You don't know.
We're going to find out.
I can't waste a spell or else I'm going to get stabbed. God, that feels like a very bad spell to cast against a paladin.
3,
I wasn't expecting to have to go
2,
paladin. Okay, I am going to. How big is the room?
15 foot by 15 foot by 15 foot.
Okay, I'm going to cast Airwalk on myself and run up into the corner as high as I can.
You're staggered.
Oh shit, I can't move!
Yeah, you can only cast.
Okay. You
I don't
cast
know,
that.
maybe take full defense or something and pray? I don't think you
I'm
can
going to
take full
cast
defense.
Guardian of Faith on myself.
Okay.
That's what I'll do.
Alec comes forward and grabs you, screaming. Does 22 beat your combat maneuver defense?
No, it does not.
You manage to avoid being grabbed as he screams right in your face. When thrice by thrice the ancient judgment falls, thunder strikes anew from Jarl Korak's halls. Kairos.
I am going to reach out and try to touch him.
Okay.
This is going to be a touch attack.
Should I roll initiative?
Not yet. That touches him.
He has to make a fort save.
Okay. Where are your saves? There's your saves.
That fails, so for the next 6 rounds, he's been erased from time.
What? Who? Bye-bye.
Okay. Do you have any moves?
I'm going to go over to the other mirror.
That's not a mirror, that's a big iron door.
Is there any way to open the door?
Let me double check here.
Yeah, no, that's really handy. Erase from time. Touch.
Wait, so for like 6 turns you do not exist?
No, you're just removed from time.
It is a very heavy door.
Nice.
It is a very heavy door.
And here, at this point, steps out of the mirror. And we are going to go back to Tonatium. You no longer hear here.
Alright. Okay, I think I figured this out. Our team saves as he sits.
Okay, give me a d6. You find yourself in a purple room.
Right here, it's yellow, red, violet, red, yellow, violet.
Okay. Here, what do you do? Actually, no, here on round 2 was coming through the door, so Kairos.
I'm going to warn him. Crazy paladin here. I erased him from time temporarily. He'll be back in like 30 seconds. He's standing. I'm going to point to the spot he was standing at. Be very careful.
Alright then.
And I'm going to take the time to cast Sanctuary on myself.
Okay, here.
Is this the one the spell where you can't be attacked unless I succeed in the will save?
Mm-hmm.
What does here do?
What do I do? Good question.
Do you keep standing by this mirror?
I'm gonna step up here, and I'm going to wait until Alec comes, and the second he shows up, I'm going to attempt to grab him.
Okay. Kairos.
I will take the time
Here. Well, what type of modifier is it?
Deflection.
I'm trying to remember which one stacks.
What deflection stacks?
With all bonuses to AC except other deflection bonuses.
I only get +4, because I have a deflection of 2 from my.
Okay. Yeah.
I only have 30.
Yep.
Double check, because make sure. Shield of Faith, I know is deflection. Projection is.
Tonatium will arrive.
Oh, it worked.
We'll come back around to Kairos' turn.
I'm going to quickly warn him about Paladin craziness, and I'm going to cast haste on all of us.
Are you sure he's insane or simply cursed? Tell me, was anything off about him?
I will tell him everything I can
Okay.
when I'm hasted.
Here is Wade holding action. Tonatium.
Spellcraft to see if there's anything, to see if there was a curse involved.
Okay.
Judging from like the way he described his eyes.
Yeah, you're not 100% sure what exactly is going on, but that is definitely not just, hi, I'm crazy. Crazy doesn't make your eyes go red.
In that case, let me just see. I need to. Okay, yeah, I need to do that. So where was he again?
Currently outside of time and space.
No, wait, when will he be here again? Alright. In that case, I'll prepare an action. Once he comes back, I'll attempt to touch him with remove curse.
Okay. So at this point, would Here and Tonatium make initiative so they can be in the right spot for the round?
I guess I'm gonna kill him before I get a chance to cure.
I'm not attacking him. My held action was to grab him the second he
Yeah.
appears.
So Kairos.
Oh, donkey outside.
Yes.
Are you going to do anything else?
I'm going to shift. I'm not going to be in front of the door. And I'm just going to wait for right now.
Here is still holding an action. The spell resolves, and Alec comes back into time. Get off of me, fucking ant. Comes back in.
So no time has passed for him at all.
No time has passed. So he continues to grab towards that space that Kairos had been in, shouting, "The baboons watch and wait, patient and potent for their..."
As he gets attempted to grab my hair.
As, yeah. This triggers your actions. So Here and then Tonatium.
Big grab.
That beats his combat maneuver defense quite barely.
Quite barely. He has a higher CMD than mine.
And Tonatium.
I shall attempt to touch him. Oh, crap. Oh, wait, whoops. Oh, wait, no, that's my touch attack. Oh, crap, my touch attack spell attack failed on crit fail.
Failed touch attack. At least the spell isn't lost.
At least the spell is not lost.
But he didn't touch anything. He does not activate it.
Accidentally rolled it twice, but I was gonna do like a double touch attack since I could like touch twice now.
Okay.
It's a full round action. You can, as a full round attack action, you can attack twice.
Yeah.
Oh.
So you can cast and then touch twice next round attempt, but yeah. So you have a critical failure though.
Uh-oh.
So
It's only a critical failure for you touching something, so it's only.
yeah. So it's only. No, I'm not going to restart my computer to reinstall this. Open the book like I told you to. Thank you.
Oh yeah. Acrobat decided to update while I was GMing. I hate when things update when I don't tell them to. Okay, so this is a natural. So the good news is you do touch Alec. There's no way for this to make sense without you touching Alec. So the spell does go off on Alec.
Alright.
The bad news is, in your kind of hurriedness, you smack your hand really, really, really hard against Alec's plate mail.
Ow.
And take 5 points of bleed damage from the wound you open on your hand.
Oh god, I could just imagine I accidentally got it jammed between his armor.
Yeah.
You just like scrape skin off as you pull it away.
Ew. But yeah, now you're bleeding profusely from your hand. As Alec shudders and his eyes cease to be red. And he collapses to the ground going...
Comes to the ground, I'm holding stuff.
No, collapses into your arms.
Ow!
Tonatium is still bleeding from his hand.
Kairos, little help? Don't you have a wand of cure stuff?
Wand of cure.
She's a cure light.
Yeah, it's cure light wounds.
Alright. Plus the...
1d8 plus 2, I think, kit.
Yep.
Alright, that should undo the bleed damage.
And it stops the bleeding.
And heal the blood you took.
Ow. Thank you. As I just continue, trying to open and close my hand because, you know how much it hurts when that happens?
What?
Like when you get your hand caught in the door when you're about to close it.
I had that, but like instead of like the part where it closes, where it was the side where the door hinges are,
Ow.
crushed my entire nail off.
Ow.
Well, so here is holding Alec, who's panting, and his eyes are wide, and he's going... And he looks up, and he just looks straight at Tonatium and goes, "The Striders wander, their history true, yet with each step they grow more cruel."
Destroyed his wandering his history of ways. Wait, what?
Never the cryptic talk, buddy. Are you going to attack us again? I say, still holding him.
He looks back towards you and says, "Chanted dirge of gold coins, your pockets filled with lies."
Something tells me he's still crazy.
He comes, he comes, he comes. When the final cage is shackled, the burning doom shall rise.
Oh, this is bad.
Alec? Hello?
Wait, show him the staff. Maybe that might help.
I'm carrying it with me right now.
He seems to, something seems to have driven him mad.
Oh dear, I guess it was too much for him.
Well, maybe we can get his mind healed if we can get him back.
Perhaps, but I feel like something's wrong.
I'm going to move over. Can I try to open the door?
You can try. Please give me a strength check.
No.
Stone.
Wait, one of the spells I have coming very handy now. I have stone shape.
Okay.
In an attempt to comfort the insane Alec, he will turn on his invisible light.
As you do, Alex starts squirming, going, I failed you, Golden Ones. I'm sorry.
I'm going to cast Stone Shape, and I'm going to start working at unmaking the stone around the door.
The door collapses to the ground with a great big heavy metal thunk.
That was actually useful. I just picked a different flavor, and it worked really well. And for the way that the spell works for him, it looks like the stone just ages and dissolves away.
At this point, he will let go of Alec.
And as you do, Alex stops and just full kowtows in front of here.
This isn't the first time I've had someone bow in front of me like this.
Blow your trumpet, Lord, blow your trumpet.
Oh my.
Shall we keep moving? Try to get out of here?
Yes, but I'm worried about Alec. Is he gonna just stay here?
Shining One, can you get him to come along with us?
Hero put on his that showman's voice. Oh, my disciple, will you follow me into the I don't know. What did I say? Will you follow me?
Into the stairs of oblivion.
He looks up to you. Seven blackbirds have ye, yet death is not deceived.
Maybe he'll probably follow us. He's gonna start stepping towards the door.
Metaphors. After you, Alec.
Alec walks. So this room, 4 pillars support the ceiling of this square room. Along one wall, an arcade allows access to the outside, its opening choked by sand. The sand has spread into the room, covering half the floor. A human skeleton juts out of the heap of sand in the middle of the room, an iron pickaxe lying on the ground near its outstretched arm. You can see the light coming in through a slit near the top, where the sand, there's a gap between the top of the sand and the top of the arcade entrance.
Hey, guess what we can turn into, you guys?
Kind of.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I cast Windwalk on us. We can turn into gas.
Yeah, don't cast
That was scary.
As you're looking, a great face leans down and looks through the gap. You shall not free him. You shall not.
Dismissal.
Okay.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Well, it's initiative.
Oh dear.
It's just like, nope.
Nope,
I'm not
wrong
dealing
one.
with this.
Sorry, wrong roll. Okay, it's 22. It's 22.
How do we have a 2? Is that not Thorn's initiative or is that Alex's initiative?
That's Navathoron's initiative. Kerex.
Dismissal. Probably not gonna work when we're doing it.
What's the save?
Will.
I rolled a 1. I rolled a 1. I rolled a 1.
He gets sent back to his plane.
As you cast the spell, he leans forward and you see a look of joy spread on his face, and he goes, "Freedom!"
Oh my god, why would you do this, Tom? You sent him back to his plane from the spot that he sealed in.
Da 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 da. Now the Thoron doesn't know plane shift, so you just won the fight. It took me 3 hours to stat this boss fight.
Like, okay, can we just go over that again?
Is it a good thing or a bad thing?
We were going to have to kill it otherwise.
So yeah, you have
That's
this.
the thing. You can't kill a demon like outside of his plane. If he does that, if you do that, then he's just returned back to his own plane anyway.
Just cast dismissal on Thoron, and he rolled a 1.
We're gonna have some big epic fight.
No, I just imagine, like, as soon as he sees the creature, Kairos is just like, no, I am not risking my innocent cinnamon roll right now. Go away!
Yeah, and this was the creature you saw in your vision.
I am not letting you hurt Donazio. No! Bad! Back to your corner.
Farewell, Chaos Hammer.
You would have to head through me first.
Farewell, Reverse Gravity.
To be honest, Kairos might have just made the vision more accurate.
Oh, actually, wait, there's one thing you have to do before you can do that.
What?
You need to make a will save. Everyone does. When he first peeks down through the hole.
Is this fear?
This is fear.
I'm immune.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I have a bonus. Yeah. So +2.
Okay, you all make the DC 20 check, and then he gets dismissed. The apocalyptic fear is not enough to save the Herald of War.
What can it do though? You said reverse
It has reverse gravity at will.
God.
Oh yeah.
Chaos Hammer at will, Greater Teleport at will, Unholy Blight at will, Dispel Magic at will, Insanity at will, a sword that casts Dominate on every hit.
As a reference, last game, Kit said, oh yeah, this fight's gonna take you about the majority of the session.
Yeah.
No.
One round. Not even one round, one turn.
Yeah. When you said you had dismissal earlier, I'm like, okay, let me double check how that works. Oh, it'll be fine. He has plane shift. He doesn't know plane shift. I have to say though, that is one of my favorite things when someone does dismissal, and then 2 rounds later the enemy's back again because they spend 1 round casting plane shift, 1 round casting Greater Teleport high. Because dismissal doesn't keep them gone; that just gets rid of them.
Is everyone okay with this?
So yeah, Alec is going.
Can I try casting Dispel Magic on our?
You can attempt it.
Yeah, let's go for it.
You can't dispel insanity.
You cannot dispel insanity.
I don't know if it's a magic effect though.
You did say he has insanity at will.
Insanity happens. So it's so it's like a damage spell. Dispelling magic doesn't dispel the damage.
Okay.
You need something to heal the insanity.
Would heal work?
I think we're thinking about like greater restoration or something.
Do you cast heal on him?
I'll cast heal.
Heal cures insanity.
Oh.
So as you cast that, Alex shudders and stops and goes, Nabithoron, the trumpet archons, they bid me travel through the mirror and slay Nabithoron. But his sword, he struck me with his sword. It could not sway me, but then his touch drove my mind away. And he turns to look at you and says, and you just banished him, just like that.
Yeah, no fun.
Sorry if I messed things up. I was trying to protect Tonateum.
We could have protected our team while having some.
My friends died for this. I should be happy about this, but I feel more frustrated than ever.
My vision showed that you were devoured here, Tonateum. I couldn't risk that creature doing whatever it did in the vision to kill you.
You did well. Its bonds were broken.
His last words before going away was freedom at last. I think this may have been something he wanted.
His bonds, the trumpet archons told me his bonds had already been broken. I've been coming out here for a few months now, communing with the three of them.
Yeah, I've seen it around.
You mean the hags?
The hags?
Yeah, there are hags.
So, have you ever seen someone who is so confident in what they were doing, and then they realize that they were an absolute idiot? You ever seen that look of just complete shame and disgust? Alec is holding that right now.
Here's gonna, his mouth is slowly gonna become a shit-eating grave. Yeah, you were taking orders from hags. What happened to every kindness in the other room? I saw you come every single day.
Well,
Oh boy. It's always the self-righteous types. Always self-righteous types who are the most easily fooled.
it's all right. I need to purge myself and atone. I'm certain Orias can help with that.
He's dead.
What?
He died trying to reach you. As well as Dirk.
He kind of collapses backwards. My foolishness got my apprentice, my squire, killed, and it led you to come to me, and oh my God, he looks up at Kairos. You freed the Herald of War.
I had a vision.
My actions led to your freeing the Herald of War.
Makes me feel better we killed the hags.
Small comfort.
I'll say.
We do have something, though. I'm going to point to the staff Tonateum has.
Yes, it is a staff. Good workmanship.
What was the name of it that you called the Tonateum?
You mean Alacast?
He perks up. That is Alacast.
What's the reaction? It kind of looks like there's a basic stat.
Well, its powers is currently dormant. I think, if anything, it's kind of out of juice, so to speak. Out of mana.
As he looks at it, he reaches out, and as he reaches out, his eyes go white, and he goes, in a voice that is not his own, "You are correct about that." The blood of the wicked, bathing it for a day and a night in the blood of a demon, is the first ritual to awaken its power. Tonatium, you've heard this voice before. That angel that came before you came into the voice of the destroyer.
The one who left because she thought she was corrupted.
Yeah.
She's on the horizon of evil.
I see. Does it have to be fresh?
It was when I did it. But I'm here now for another reason. There's nothing left for you in Cauldron, heroes. To return is to enter your own graves and bring doom upon all that you love. Trust in the sign of the smoking eye if you wish to save them all.
Smoking eye. As I say, I instinctively touch my forehead.
And with that, Alec actually collapses onto the ground.
Is he okay?
He's drooling, and his eyes are staring vacant.
Is he passed out? I'm not knowledgeable in medicine.
I have one skill spell, Breath of Life.
He does not seem to be dead. He seems to just be lying there.
His body was given out.
Hero reached down and slap him in the cheeks.
He kind of flops.
Cast heal again?
I think he's just tired.
He stands up and breathes. What was that? It overwhelmed my mind.
I think you were possessed by the actual angel this time. But I'm guessing with how tired you were, your body couldn't handle the strain.
Indeed. Indeed. Well, what happened?
Well, it doesn't sound like I can go back to Cauldron. At least for a while.
Cauldron. The challenge! Oh no.
Yeah, you're about a week late, buddy.
I was really hoping to see you fight.
The hags, they told me to issue the challenge. They warned me about the corruption. I have to rescind it.
I'm not sure.
No, it's not safe.
Your suspicion... I don't know if I should say it.
What?
So, you know about that person that was hired? What was his name again? Blue Azure...
The Blue Duke?
Blue Duke, yes.
Yes.
He's a troll mage. Or was it ogre mage?
Yes. I seem to recall Terson mentioning something like that in closed session before the Lords. That he had sworn to wear the face of a man in the city to not alarm the common folk. I don't trust the Blue Duke at all, but I doubt that there's corruption. Not from Turson.
Well, it sounds like we can't very well go back.
What was the warning again? Like exactly?
To return is to enter your own graves and bring doom upon all you love.
Why would an angel possess the body? She already took to us directly before.
Maybe she can't enter this place.
Where are we exactly anyway?
Where are you indeed?
I say as I start walking out.
So, this is like a ramp of sand, and there's like maybe a foot of gap between the top of the sand and the top of the door.
I will turn to mist over 5 rounds and go out to the gap.
Okay?
So off. I say as I just keep digging through the sand.
You guys can do it too.
I know, but it seems unnecessary.
Here we'll do much the same.
Okay.
Besides, Alec can't go with us that way.
Give me one moment. I need to update to chapter 6.
You thought the fight would take the rest of the session?
Yeah. Oh, we're fine. I prepped chapter 6. I just need to update the stream art because we're now in chapter 6.
But yeah, we're gonna dig a hole for Alec to get through.
There's what the non-map tool stream art looks like now.
I love how my picture of you cockily inside. It's perfectly in it.
Is that a skull with fire coming out of its eyes?
Yes, and the name of this chapter is Test of the Smoking Eye.
So, So, I need to review exactly what's going to happen here. Because I did expect that fight to take longer.
I still think that was hilarious.
So,
Well, guess I prepped a bunch of protection from evil for.
Well, I don't know. We could possibly run into more demons.
so yeah, you can dig your way out. Kairos, and here you can see that you're standing in a giant desert, and there's like an obelisk tilted here that you're coming out of that's buried partially in sand.
Knowledge geography?
Okay?
Oh, sorry, knowledge history. Let's go to knowledge history.
Where exactly are you? 'Cause I think it tells me this somewhere.
As we are actually in the Assyrian place, and we run into a certain person who's always cold.
That's a completely different plane.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, this is in the world of Greyhawk.
Oh, yeah. This is Greyhawk. Celadus is in
Galarian.
Galarian.
So you have no idea where you are. DC 26. DC 26 is not enough to know what the history of where you are.
Is it hot?
It is very hot.
How hot?
Like 108.
Oh, that's cool. I'm fine with that.
I'm good.
I'm not good. What are you talking about good? It's 108. I have
Fire
fire.
resistance.
Oh. So I guess we're all good then.
Alec is panting. It's very hot.
What are you talking about?
Oh yeah, you wouldn't have that, would you?
My character didn't have fire resistance either.
Let's see. I'm gonna acknowledge flames. I wonder if
Okay,
this is-
I will create water for Alric.
Alec will
Just
bring
like splash him with it.
Tonatium, you think you are on the material plane.
Doesn't look like we're anywhere different. Like, plane-wise. What about geography?
You have no idea where you are.
Can I cast a divination spell?
You could attempt to, sure.
Yeah, let's go divination.
What is the question?
Where are we?
69.
That makes it for me.
Yeah, you need to get below like 80.
82.
Nice. So the voice of your god returns to you. The Spellweavers held 5 palaces in 5 corners of the globe. Beneath the mountain of flame, at the bottom of the ocean blue, in the vast deserts of the west, at the rolling plains of the north, and on the dark side of the moon.
I will tell everyone this.
Oh, it's a good thing for all of you guys that we didn't run up on the moon.
I mean, everyone knows the moon's made of cheese.
So we're somewhere in the west.
Whatever the one I want.
Would that let me make another knowledge roll to try to guess where we are based on that?
Geography. You haven't attempted geography yet.
Yeah, you attempted history.
You do not know anything about the geography this far out from Cauldron.
Anyone else try?
I am untrained in knowledge.
Everyone else has tried.
I haven't tried, but I'm untrained in it, so I can't take it. I can't do it.
Nope.
With that knowledge I was given, could I try again?
I'll allow it.
Alright.
You barely fail.
Alright, do you have any idea where we might be at?
Come on, it's on the tip of my tongue.
Where we are, we're in some sort of desert.
I'm not it.
This is frustrating me. It's on the tip of my tongue.
Oh, it's nice out.
Go ahead and make a perception check if you'd like. Here. You hear a very soft whispering. Here is the only one who could theoretically make it.
Do I know where it's coming from?
It seems to be coming from fairly nearby.
I'm gonna try to look for where it is coming from.
Okay.
If Namathor
One.
is sealed here,
One
perhaps.
quick moment. Oh. There is the voice kind of rises up in Gushtal Zevachon Irachavon
I speak Abyssal and Infernal. Does that translate to anything? Oh wait, I don't even hear it. That's right.
Yeah, only I hear it. I only speak common.
Here?
Yeah.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
The question is this. Does 23 beat your combat maneuver defense
No.
when you're without your dexterity?
No.
Okay. So a hand shoots up from the sand and you manage to jump back slightly. A skeletal, bluish, blackish hand dripping red with blood and veins. Initiative.
Did not think I would need positive pulse today. Shame.
That's what anybody can do.
Kairos.
Everybody
I'm trying to grab him. Can I see it?
You can see a black hand, vaguely skeletal, dripping red with blood.
Okay, let's see.
Do you really want to touch that though?
Not really, no. We are going to cast. I'm going to hold my action for it to completely pull itself up. And I'm going to cast. Oh, that won't work on it. It's undead.
What are you going to cast? Finish declaring your action.
I'm going to wait to cast Forbid Action once it's fully out.
Okay. It pulls itself up from the sand.
Forbid Action, targeting it, it has to make a will save. It cannot attack on its next turn.
As it pulls itself up and goes and just looks at here, snarling. And as it looks around, unable to attack, it goes Unden, 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 Unden.
Is that Abyssal?
Yes.
I know what he's saying.
It says, brother, 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 come.
Alright, is it my turn?
It is.
Everyone, there's one more, as they say as I walk up the wall to make sure I don't get grabbed.
Here.
I'm gonna flurry of blow.
Okay.
First attack.
That will hit, make a reflex save.
A reflex save. What is this for?
You hit it.
The acid.
Its skin is covered with a thin layer of acidic slime. So as you hit, you deal damage. You also take 8 acid damage.
Is that magical?
It is not, it's just acid.
Of course, I took 3.
Yeah, go ahead and roll damage on that first attack.
Alright.
Are your attacks currently cold iron?
Yes.
Okay. That will deal damage.
Second attack.
That will hit. Reflex save.
Yep.
You manage to not take the damage that time.
Nice. 2d6 plus 8 plus 1d.
That does not hit.
No, that's my attack. No, that's my damage. damage.
Oh, that's your damage.
How
Okay.
long does haste last, by the way?
10 minutes.
It's probably gone by now.
It's gone now. It's gone by now.
So, next attack.
That hits. Reflex save.
Reflex save.
Damage roll.
Damage. Next attack.
Does not hit.
Not hit. And final attack. That's a good round.
You know the roll.
52 plus 6.
So I'll give you choices. You got this as a melee or natural attack.
I guess melee?
Okay. Roll to confirm the crit on yourself.
Crit on myself.
Yep.
I don't think I can crit myself with that roll. Yeah, I don't crit myself.
Okay. You just deal regular damage to yourself.
Which bypass is my DR? Because it's magic. I punched myself in the face for 12 damage.
Alec, who I just freaking closed. Why did I close Alec? Alec is here.
Alec is here, and he is sane.
Oh, no, wait. No, I think my first only counted silver for bypassing DR, right?
Yes,
Doesn't actually count as a silver weapon for damage.
that's correct.
I was like, did I just make do more damage?
Alec takes his sword, grasps it. It begins to shine with light like a day. And he runs forward, bringing it down towards this creature.
This creature is evil.
Hitting
Yeah, speaking of pistol, chances are they are.
for 14 damage, and he needs to make his reflex save. His sword takes 3 damage.
Do have to ask you though, Kit. This creature is evil, correct?
Correct.
I need 3 fortitude saves for touch of golden ice. And that's it.
So it made its saves.
Yeah, DC 14.
The one behind you pulls its way out of the sand. And attacks. There's 32. Oh, that's a crit. That's a crit. That's a nat 20.
That's a nat 20.
That so it does hit for sure.
That is a nat 20, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that is. Sure.
Does it confirm?
No.
So it's only 8 damage.
Magical or no?
Its attacks do not count as magic.
Cool. So I take 3.
Okay, Rose.
I am going to cast Murderous Command on the one that just came out.
Okay.
It fails the save by 1.
So it must attack its ally.
Yes. It is compelled to kill its ally.
So this one is going to make a full round attack at here as it pulls out a long sword. A long spear, rather. Long spear, rather. Yes. And rolls a 2. And then probably not good enough. And tries to bite you. That's a 20. So it does bite you.
It does.
for 3 damage.
I love DR. DR's amazing.
Totium.
Well, I might as well try to identify these things. I think they're demons, so I'm going to knowledge planes.
Assassins, murderers, and sadists. These are creatures. These are babaus. Creatures of hunger and sadism from the abyss. They are inhumanly patient as they attempt to conceive murder and tear apart all that they encounter. They are coated in acid. They can teleport. They can summon more of their kind, see the invisible, and are resistant to spells. Speaking of spells, I need you to make your SR on that murderous command.
I had a feeling. I was like,
It is not compelled. They're resistant to spells, to acid, to cold, to fire, and to damage, save for that done by purest good or cold iron. They're also immune to electricity and poison.
I can break through their DR.
so basically, none of my stuff works. I'm just gonna have to wing it. Dismissal. Anyway, against 103, I will magic missile him.
Phew.
I will roll my spell check.
Yay.
Yeah, it's like you can't hurt them, you just have to go through your spell resistance.
That makes it.
Oh, nice.
That's more than the 12 hit points it had left.
It's like 8 points more than dead.
And since it summoned its brother, that one goes away. Da, 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 da.
Well then. But yeah, my spell resistance is good. But you roll the top. What is the minimal I could do? Actually, below minimal.
I will spend 2 key points. And heal for 12 HP.
I'll get down from the wall now.
As I said, first step outside.
It's a shame they don't leave their bodies behind. I could really use the blood. I say as I nudge my staff.
At about this moment, around the corner comes running a man who says, "I hear you! Die, demon!" And then he just stops and goes, "Oh, I heard the sounds of Abyssal. Where are they?"
Gone.
He puts down his stave and goes, "Oh, alrighty then." And he limps his way towards you. Who are all of you?
Well, I'm here.
My name is Kairos.
Yes, you are. Here, I didn't ask that. I asked your name.
No, his name is here.
Your parents must have hated you.
Oh. And your name's as good as mine.
Tonatim is my name.
Tonatim, Kairos, here. Alec Tercival. Who are you, foul, evil thing? Evil? Evil? Well, we can't help our heritage. He lifts up his staff and points. If you're digging your way into that ruin, be careful.
What ruin?
He's pointing towards the one you just came out of.
Oh,
An evil far greater than I is bound there.
We actually already got rid of him.
I wouldn't quite say that.
Got rid of. You mean he's free?
By accident.
Unfortunately, yes.
He stops and puts his hand up and begins to cast a spell.
Detect magic.
So you wait for him to finish casting the spell and then you detect magic?
Yeah, I will let him.
Oh,
He stops and he goes. And when you detect magic, you can detect the cloak he wears over his head is magic. He has a wand at he has 2 wands at his waist that are magic. He has a bag at his he has a bag that's magic, and an amulet he wears that's magic. And the spell that he just cast seems to be divination. Get off my laptop, Ant. As he picks up the staff and taps Tonatium's forehead. You are marked. And then he walks over to Kairos and taps his forehead. As now are you. You freed him. That marked you.
Cast the invisibility on myself to see Kairos.
Kairos has an eye on his head that is casting out smoke, as does the person you're looking at here.
I see.
Candidates.
What exactly do you mean by marked?
They're marked. They are candidates. You are not.
I don't see any markings on there myself, so.
To be honest, it's not one one normally sees.
Oh, but sure, let's see it.
There are 4 of you. I can take 3. I suppose I should explain myself, right?
Yes.
Yes. Well.
It would help to get some explanation since we kind of got here through the mirror.
So, let me explain. Have you heard of Occipitus?
Do I recall that name?
Toru has mentioned it.
Yeah, Toru mentioned it.
Whoever mentioned something about it? I can't remember what.
Well, it is another plane, once part of the 7 heavens of Celestia, but now corrupted and consumed by evil. I traveled its lands for years, and I uncovered the secret of controlling the plane and cleansing it. He turns to Alec. Of course, not without cost, my dear paladin, as you see. One who is permitted, one who is marked as a candidate, may take the exam its former owner placed, and if victorious, the plane is theirs, and over time shall come to match the purity of their soul and shift.
So what would happen if we accomplish the test then?
If you accomplish the test, you would rule the plane. It's part of the abyss right now, but if you are strong enough of will and pure enough of heart, it may separate from the lower planes. Perhaps it would become a demiplane. Perhaps it would become once again even part of Celestia.
So what you're saying right now is that Tonatian and Kairos here can rule the plane.
I feel as if I'm strong of mind but not pure of soul. I'm not sure how that would affect the plane.
Are you wicked?
I do not believe so.
Then if you are strong of will enough, it may sever nonetheless. And to answer your question, here, one of them could, if they passed successfully the 3 trials, the 3 tests.
It was part of this. Wait, wasn't that the one where Turu was stuck in when he died?
I'm sorry?
Sorry, I'm muttering to myself loudly.
Do you have a friend who has been to Orchipitus?
He might have been. I'm not completely sure.
Well, did he tell you what it looked like? I have been to Orchipitus. I can confirm.
I'm trying to think.
I've never been to Orchipitus. He's had dreams. Those dreams might have been of Orchipitus. Was Orchipitus that skull?
Orchipitus is a horrid place. In the center of Orchipitus is a half-buried skull, the size of a mountain. From its eyes spews a perpetual flame that fills the sky. Around it are parts of what was once Celestia, mixed with a strange, almost living landscape. Orchipitus's original evil.
Talking about marks, and I believe he has it as well.
Oh my.
Stronger than ours. Or it is visible by everyone.
I cannot... Is he here?
No.
Oh dear. It would be better to take 3 qualified candidates. More chances at success. You are qualified, Kairos.
I received the mark from trying to dispel it from someone else who had it.
Interesting.
I can't ever dispel magic.
It was more like I was trying to remove it. Curse.
I mocked myself with a ritual that took me a year and a day of great suffering.
I don't think we have that kind of time.
I did it before I visited Orchipitus, before I let its corruption seep into me.
There was this one other dwarf, but I think he's currently believed the mark drove it to insanity.
That is a worrying thing. The mark does connect you to Occipitus and perhaps its last ruler. Or the ghost of its last ruler, slain as he was 50 years ago.
That was around the same time the dwarf went missing, wasn't it?
Was it?
I believe so. Was it around that time? I mean, he didn't have the mark before. He went missing 50 years ago, but when we found him, he had the mark and was driven insane. I thought the mark itself was a curse. Itself, was a direct cause. So I tried to remove it.
If he was given the mark by the old lord, he would be mad. Adamarcus was the lord of madness. But 50 years ago he vanished, most likely slain by one of his countless enemies.
So we have no idea who rules it now.
No one rules it now. It stands without ownership, without rulership, waiting for someone to claim it through the 3 tests. I don't suppose you know who that voice was, that woman's voice? Speaking of the sign of the smoking eye?
What was her name again? Crap, I think I forgot to put down her name.
To be entirely honest, although I am familiar with this place from wanderings in the past, I was on Occipitus until moments ago. I heard that voice speaking and found myself in the desert not far from here. I don't like traveling between planes when it is not by my will.
I see. An angel has spoken to me before about the staff, known as Alakast.
Alakast.
Its powers are currently dormant.
I have heard of Alakast. It is the ancient staff of Suabar, yes?
Yes.
I see. I see. I must ask, are you willing to take this exam?
I'm not sure what ruling over the... What's the plane's name again? Occipitus. Is there paperwork? Is there, a law? Or something?
The master of a plane becomes the plane, and the plane becomes the master. You'll have great power. Besides, I think, on reflection, I might know why I'm here. And he pulls out a little amulet, which has the same symbol that you see upon your head and Kairos's when you see invisibility. I wonder if I am not that sign of the smoking eye the voice mentioned.
How would we even get there?
Oh, I prepare plane shift every day in case I find myself needing to flee. As I said, I can take 3. I cannot take 4.
What do we do with, what about Alex?
It would be cruel to leave him here without a sense of direction to leave.
Where do you wish to go?
Alec?
Cauldron, I suppose.
What about the,
Perhaps best to think about Red Gorge?
I think Red Gorge may be safer.
That is... I know of Cauldron. That's the city in the volcano, yes?
Yes.
He points his staff kind of off in a direction. That's about 1,500 miles that away, if I recall.
Was that far?
Could we use the mirror to get back?
What mirror?
I'll look way back over there where the mirror was, where we came from.
Yeah, and then right in here, there's a mirror that we used to get here.
I wouldn't know. I have never bothered to threaten myself by walking into the prison of the Herald of War.
I wouldn't recommend it, especially if you have no clues on how to get out.
Yes, Cauldron. Cage Rights. That's where I'd heard that name. That's where the Cage Rights are operating.
The what?
They're rather horrid people. I met them as I was researching the nature of the Chipetus. For a time, they attempted to convince me to join their organization. I admit I went along with them for a time. After all, they are a cult that served Adamarcus. Perhaps they could further my goals, but they're all simply mad. I left them to their own lunacies.
Who are the Cage Rights exactly?
A group of people who are obsessed with Adamarcus. They have worshipped him for centuries. It seems his disappearance drove the lot of them mad. I do know that they've been working in Cauldron, something about orchestrating kidnappings. They're all quite insane, with possible exception of that beholder, which is yes,
Arceus.
that's his name. It's odd. Beholders are normally very paranoid, very mad, but for some reason, he is frightfully sane.
I don't know, that's one thing to add to my notes. Arceus. What was the name again?
Oh, he's not a leader. I don't even think he is a Cage Right, but he works with them.
That's news to me. A cult working with a floating eyeball.
They also coordinated a bit with the Eben Triad, I think. Also a bunch of madmen. Seem to think they can fuse gods together with prayer.
What is Circeus up to? I don't know. I believe he's been collecting those with the mark.
He's been collecting those with the mark. Oh dear. You don't suppose he's trying to take the exam?
That's his motivation. That is a very concerning thought.
Indeed. He opens that bag and starts shuffling through and goes cauldron, cauldron, cauldron. Have you any skill in magical items, Mr. Turcival? He goes, a small amount, not much. Goes, small amount should be sufficient. I think there's one usage left. And he hands a wand towards Turcival, who takes it and looks a little uncomfortable. Greater teleport, that wand has. I'll have to craft a new one. If you focus and use the wand while focusing on Cauldron, or Red Gorge if it is near Cauldron, it should take you there. You may need to use it a few times if you're not skilled at activation, but as long as you don't botch it horrendously, you should be fine.
Natural one.
Well, shall we go, or do you wish to wait for Alec to go on his way?
Will you be alright by yourself, Alec?
Alec goes, I suppose, let us find out. And he attempts to use the wand. And vanishes.
Well, guess there's not much to do. If Circeus is planning on taking that exam, we should probably beat him to it first. I don't know what would happen if he gains control of the plane.
Let's do it then.
Yes. Well, there's others also trying to take the exam. There is some haste involved. Well, I suppose you should hold hands.
Oh, I will do so.
Okay.
And then he reaches out to take hands with Kairos and here.
Is he evil?
He is evil.
Fort save, please. Can you touch my hands?
Do you warn him of this?
Yeah, I'll warn him of this. If he, because I actually don't know if he's evil though.
Alec called him evil.
I would probably refrain from touching my hands, sorry.
Here, let's swap positions then. I'll swap it to here.
What happens if he touches you and fails?
Touch of golden ice, 1d6 dex damage first turn, 2d6 next.
Shoo.
As shards of golden ice appear in his bloodstream and poke out of his skin.
Right. I will have to remember not to anger you. That will be very useful where we go. Most are evil there. As he takes Tonatium's hand and Kairos's and casts Plane Shift.
Like, well, I can't take the exam, but at least I can help you kill some.
Is it wrong that I kind of want to become ruler of this plane?
Only if you have impure intentions.
Kairos has always been trapped in his destiny, always having to follow the timeline of fate. Why can't he be able to break his curse finally?
Well,
He simply wants to pass the exam so like the Circeus doesn't get it.
Here feels like the third wheel because you can't take it.
Well, you can also try to dispel the curse on a powerful mark.
so
You're not.
we're going to be attempting to go there. but it's not going to be immediately there, so I need to remember how far away plane shift takes you. And where exactly this is. It's there, okay. So plane shift. $5D100 from the location. So this is not, your tokens are not to scale on this map.
Okay. Actually, I'll be back. I need the restroom.
Now we conquer the world and become its masters. Oh, is this the part where we can become a demon?
So you end up there in the plains of Achipitus.
I don't feel like this would be the part where we become a demon. If neither Dirk nor Arias had the demon, had to work on them.
So we have to get to that big old skull.
No, we've ended up unfortunately quite a ways away. We need to go past the skull to the Cathedral of Feathers to begin the exams.
I just realized.
You ended up pretty much on the opposite side of the plane.
No, what I realized, we left Arias in Dirk's corpse and
Yes, you did.
like,
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
looks like Dirk isn't being resurrected anytime soon.
Yes, you did. You monsters.
And he doesn't know the importance of those people. He has never even seen them alive.
Ochipitus. I want to wait till Antonio gets back to read this, and I think that'll be the good spot to end for the week.
I'm assuming if we actually had fought the demon, all of us would have gotten the mark to fight again.
Yes.
So the very fact that Kairos dispelled him turn one is the reason that here does not have.
Yes. Also, I need to
Thanks, Tom.
come up with Lord possibilities for these two characters.
Thanks, Tom.
I'm sorry.
You physically stopped me from ever becoming a demon lord.
Maybe.
I don't have the mark. I don't think I can get the mark.
That's true.
I don't think I can take the exam at all.
So says. So saith Carathon.
Yes, this is terrifying. Like I said, you did say I need to find Demon Lord art for these two characters when you already have Demon Lord art for Tonatium.
Yeah. I mean, main character-wise, Tonatium needs to do it, but maybe it's not his turn. After all, as you said, Kairos has reason to want to do this.
Yeah, he wants to break his curse. He wants to not be helpless anymore.
And he is here, how not? It was very bad to accidentally touch and murder our transportation.
Except he has to buy a new wand of greater teleport.
Yeah.
No, not make, buy.
I was more thinking about the fact that, plane thing accidentally didn't catch a golden ice. Or getting golden ice.
Oh gosh, being stranded in the abyss. That would be a thing.
If we level up, I can learn plane shift, I think.
I'm trying to remember where Manual of the Plains is.
Yes, I can learn plane shift if we level up.
So we'll just be stuck here fighting demons or whatever. Until we level up. We have to go past the skull, which is like 100 miles away.
Yes, you do. And the,
Two
answer,
of us don't need to eat.
and the answer is I haven't downloaded my copy of Manual of the Plains. Let me get that. Because we should probably double check the planar properties of the abyss.
There's no oxygen.
No, you can breathe, but it has some other
I think
effects.
I have that book.
I've pulled my copy down. I've pulled my copy down. Do you have a physical copy?
I have 2 physical copies.
Well,
I am back. Welcome back.
nothing. We were waiting for you.
You missed my realization.
Oh, you want to tell him your realization?
Yeah, Antonio.
What is it?
We left Elias and Dirk's corpse back in the place.
Whoops.
Along with like any magical items they have on hand that we can already take.
That.
So,
You know what? I'll just put up the Jonas note. Come back for Arias and Dark eventually.
so there's really only one trait of the abyss that's going to matter. But let's read the description before we deal with the mechanics, huh?
Okay.
So, as you arrive on Achipitus, the sky seems to be made of fire, bathing everything in reddish glow. Off in the distance looms a massive skull, a white monolith the size of a small mountain. Clouds of flame stream from the skull's single exposed eye socket up into the sky. About a half mile ahead stand a cluster of gently curving white pillars, because you would end up over here on the way in, which almost seem as if giant rib bones had been stuck into the ground. In the distance looms a steep mountain ridge whose top seems to touch the fiery sky. It stretches around the entire horizon, as if you were standing inside a vast bowl with a fiery lid. The ground is spongy and wrinkled, with a grass that is thick and brown, more like hair or fur than ground, more like skin than dirt. And the important mechanical thing is this is mildly chaos and mildly evil aligned. So lawful characters suffer a -2 on all charisma-based checks, and good characters also suffer a -2 on all charisma-based checks.
Are those the shields up?
They are. If you are lawful good, you have -4 on all charisma-based checks.
-4 on our charisma-based checks.
Yeah, this whole place feels wrong.
This place is gross.
Well, at least I'm chaotic. I'm not sure if I'm like that good anymore. If I'm that good, or if I'm still like neutral.
You're still neutral, so you're actually suffering no penalties.
I think both me and Kairos better do the.
Nope, I'm neutral.
Oh, you're neutral. Only I do.
Because the way I see it is Kairos is just basically completely neutral. He follows the timeline in the vision.
It's like, you were fine, he's fine, you're fine. You look at here, here's like, place feels.
Yes. We need to reach the Cathedral of Feathers. Unfortunately, it's across the way over here. I'll put in A, where there's a Cathedral of Feathers.
So we're not going to the giant flaming skull in the middle.
No. It's dangerous as you near there. Normally, you only need to fear those things when you fly, but they, as you can see, are near the skull, the plasms.
So you're saying we need to go around it?
If you attract the plasms, they will destroy you in a conflagration of fire and absolute evil.
Charming. Handle a bit of fire, but not evil.
So, yeah.
You know the way. Which way should we go?
He kind of points, he says, we want to go around the blood cysts, through the Ossic forest, through the ruined plains of Celestia, around the field once more, avoiding the blood cysts into the other ruined flame. 110 miles. How fast can you walk?
We can fly 600 miles an hour.
Fly? Fools?
Fly, you fool.
Do you want to attract the plasms?
We can, along the ground, we would just be missed.
I can walk as normally as any human can.
You can turn into mist and fly at that speed.
For 12 hours. Per casting. For all of us.
Well, cast! Let us do this. That will help us to avoid the many wicked things that wander this world.
Jonathan, can you make us all look pure white?
No?
With prestidigitation?
I don't have that prepped. Heck, I don't even know if it's even in my spellbook anymore. No, it is not.
Corophon stops and goes, I don't have that prepared today.
Why do you need us to be white?
It makes it much harder for people to see us, or to tell that we're there.
Or at all, because I'm a sorcerer and not a wizard, and it's not on my spell list.
Right, so I'll cast Windwalk again.
Alrighty then. So we'll have a single check for a possible encounter.
Okay, then. I know we're in a rush, but it feels like I've been robbed of an adventure.
So much for the overland walking and the 8% chance an hour of an encounter with a random creature from the deepest pits of the abyss.
I could have used wicked blood, though.
The funny part is I could have potentially gotten you faster.
You know, including such potentialities as,
Upgrade my staff.
I mean, if you want to go hunting, you can go hunting.
We're pressed. Not a family.
We'll probably find a creature later.
We'll probably run into some demon later.
Yeah, all I gotta do is be dumb and say, hey, look at me.
So,
I'm apparently the great-great-great-great-great-great-grandson of the guy who pissed you all off.
So, yeah, as you fly through, you avoid the blood cyst fields, which are these kind of grotesque fields where there's these bubbling, popping boils of blood, and and these veins that interlink. You go through the Ossic Forest, which looks like bones and rib cages and arms climbing up like skeletal trees. And then you pass through the Celestial Rubble, which is almost... It looks like a beautiful field that's been burnt and scarred. And there's kind of this, around the edges, that same sort of reddish cyst work kind of boiling up over into it. Sort of like a body trying to encase an invader in a wound.
Is there anything like dangerous about the blood cysts?
Do you want to go poking at them?
Not if they're enemies, no. I just mean if they're diseased, I'm fine.
I don't think you should be going poking around sick people anyway.
Of course it can happen. I'm literally immune to all diseases, supernatural and magical included.
Yeah, but can't you still carry it?
Probably not. Well, that's how carrying works for diseases.
My head's starting to hurt.
Yeah, I think we're at about the point to end the session. I was just wondering if you were going to be poking at the ulcers.
I wouldn't.
Probably not, but that's my question. Are they like diseased or sickly, poisonous or something?
Do you have some way of knowing?
No.
What, you ran out of 3 questions for your deity for the day?
I don't have that kind of thing. That's Kairos.
No. Yeah, I keep mixing you two up. You're two.
How do you mix the monk up with the fucking oracle?
So,
No, like I keep mixing up your characters.
as you approach and go through a second bit of this ruined area, you've come across what seems to be a beautiful cathedral. The remnants of tapestries hang from the cracked stone walls. And outside of it, there's these beautiful stained glass pillars. And at the edge, at the front, is a pair of double doors, large and stone, and old and sad. And that is probably that for the session. Questions, comments, or concerns?
I really gotta get to working on upgrading my staff.
I gotta work on, I don't know.
I feel so wrong. Put it on the Thoron fight, to be honest.
I want to punch the Rabbithorn in the face.
Oh. Nabithoron is still alive.
I'm sorry, that was just so anticlimactic. I'm a little upset. I can imagine. If I had to be, I can imagine the comments going like. I can just imagine rage in the comments.
Like we start playing like an RPG game, and like the hyped boss that's been like stopping you at every turn gets murdered by an even powerful entity.
I think of it like, have you played Final Fantasy VI?
I don't play Final Fantasy.
Or is it 4? I forget which one it is with the Spirit Train level.
Spirit Train 6.
Yeah. And you go through, and you have to get to the end, and you have to fight the Spirit Train, and it's this real big, scary boss fight. But if you throw a feed... But if you throw a phoenix down at it, it just dies because it's undead.
It happened to a bunch of them. Like the first boss in 5, I think, is undead.
When I was a kid on 6, I was playing that with a friend at his house who kept dying, and we did it by accident because we had Phoenix Downs and one of the people died, and we're like, we're going to shoot it, and we freak out and we push too far and it goes to the boss. We're like, oh no. And it happens and it dies, and we're like, what?
Do you want to get something even more funny though, Kit?
What?
In Final Fantasy X, there is the priest summoner guy who has been, like, you know, all what I just said, like, all hyped up and getting in your way and all that jank.
Yeah.
He's not immune to being turned into an undead. So you can just turn him into an undead and then we kill him.
I'm just reminded of one boss in Grand Fantasy that like gives you like zombie status and then it just tries healing you to death.
Yeah, that's what you can do in Final Fantasy. Because Phoenix Down revive you. So if you get on an undead, it kills them instantly.
So.
With no, like, mischance or anything like that.
But yeah, that's what that was. That was a fight against a boss where you use the correct ability. But in this case, it doesn't kill the boss. Nabithoron is still around.
Is he going to be happy or angry that we did this to him, I wonder?
Oh, he's gonna be happy. He's just going to like, oh, I'll make your death swift.
There's a boss in, The Legend of the Wind Waker you can kill.
Except for you, Tona TM. I don't know why. I don't like you.
Nabithoron had plans, and now he's free. Of course, he doesn't know plane shifts, but if he ever finds someone who does,
Probably pretty easy in like a demon realm.
yeah.
Me thinking, I sense. Oh no.
You sense round 2, motherfucker!
No, I'm not sensing just around 2. I'm sensing a double boss fight.
A double mark.
Good luck trying to banish him again when Cerseus is around.
Just have here distract Cerseus. What is Cerseus going to do to here?
Turn him into stone.
Nah. I got better reflexes than her.
Disintegrate.
Nah. That's not going to kill me. From full.
Look at you with his eye and disable all of those. Look at you with his eye and disable all of those passive magical effects.
But those aren't passive magical effects.
Where do they come from then?
But they're not magic.
Yeah, you're right.
They're sacred powers. You can't disable any of my shit. I can teleport in his face.
Oh dear.
What?
Oh no, I'm just saying. I was just trying to think my solution was just making a box to blow it up, and then you just have a character that's like anti-Cerseus.
Yeah, like, what is Cerseus going to do to me? You can't disable any of my shit. You can only attack me.
He can seduce you.
Should
He can't seduce me.
What do you guys think? Once I level up a little, do you guys think I should go into getting banishment as well?
Banishment.
No.
I don't know.
What the hell is Cerseus ready to do?
That was just fun though. He rolled a 1.
He rolled a fucking 1. What would he have needed to roll the Mega Fist anyways?
I believe the save for my banishment is 22.
And he rolled a 14 when he rolled a 1, so he
missile would have if I had this missile, it probably would be slightly higher, but not by much.
You had one job kit, and it was just a little higher than a 9.
There we go.
Should we be glad we didn't get kit rolled?
I found everything. We went to the wrong spot. There we go. I finally found the map, the GM map. I was looking for it and I'm like, oh, I'll figure it out later.
Besides, this seems perfectly character with Kairos. Kairos saw that we were going to wipe that Nabathorn, so he just prevented the fight from happening.
So, you arrived there and zoomed your way here.
Hey sir, these chaotic flames, you can never figure out which way to go.
You're the chaotic one here. What are you talking about? This is like tone of team tone.
Yeah, I had the player map here and I didn't have the GM map, which shows the route of the adventure and all the things that I need to know. So I need to just make note of where it is.
All the wonderful things that we skated right past this mist.
Yep. So many things just gone.
Like when you play Dark Souls and you start with the Master Key.
Sometimes you just jump. It happens. Let's see. Normal human walking speed, that would have been a 3-day walk.
I mean, I can walk at 70 feet.
Yeah, but can everyone walk at 70 feet? No.
No, sorry, I just had to stay with them.
So it would have been a 3-day walk.
How far exactly is it from where we started to where we are now?
Well, let's see, we have the scale right here.
I'll go ahead and draw your path in. So X for the arrival point. Then walking would be this way to actually walk up, but you didn't.
So 40 miles, or 100 miles is 40 squares.
You flew as the crow flies, though, so you just went a nice straight like that.
But less than 100 miles.
Yep.
And I can teleport 800 feet 4 times.
That is less than 1 mile.
It's less than 1 mile, so no. I would not be able to go faster by teleporting.
Yeah. Next time, the Cathedral of Feathers, and part 1 of the Test of the Smoking Eye.
Yeah.
Well, at least now I found some use for the fact that I got marked.
From the logic of us having to go through the demon to get here, we would have all been marked eventually.
Or perhaps whoever dealt the finishing blow would have been marked if we didn't have Turbo.
Everyone who had dealt damage or succeeded in casting a spell was going to get marked.
So I wouldn't have got marked anyway.
If only here. So by this logic, no. Because Kairos acted first.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I rolled pretty high for my initiative. He just had higher dex.
And I rolled 11.
Well,
So it was probably a good thing that Turbo Team got marked all the way back then, right?
I mean, who knows? We might not have to be marked to take the exam.
well,
This is only as of this guy saying it.
yeah.
We might not know everything.
I did have a question since I think it's okay to ask now, but what was with that time limit?
Bullshit.
It's the fight with Alec. The Alec fighting
No, I completely made it up. It's bullshit.
Oh. When Alec had been marked then?
So,
No.
perhaps he was not worthy.
Essentially, he showed up, he drew his sword, he got touched on the forehead and went insane.
Uh,
That's how that fight went.
he had fur.
That's how that fight went, scripted. And that's why I'm like, oh yeah, no, there's not actually a timer. Not even for starvation, because Alec has a ring of sustenance. Like, if you guys spent 5 years getting there, Alec would be sitting there insane, wandering around that room for 5 years.
I think we'd probably starve first or something.
Here doesn't need to eat.
I still do. By the way, does anyone know create water?
I do.
Do you have the good berries?
No, very.
You know, the special kind of berries.
Okay, so
I need my fix. Tony keeps scratching his arm.
Give me the senzu beans.
They aren't senzu beans. They only heal you 1 point. Senzu beans fully restoring your